Hello, everyone. I'm back online. This time around, my attention has been drawn to this report from the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, about the Nigerian police firing tear gas as protesters gather over the continued detention of separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu. The report also noted that Nnamdi Kanu holds British nationality. It also stated that Kanu is a cult hero and that he jumped bail in 2017 and he was rearrested in Kenya. Let me just put this point clear. Let me just make it clear. Nnamdi Kanu is an activist, not a separatist leader. He is an activist. And we have stories or history of people who, on account of their role, that their country became independent. We have the case of Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana, and also some activists in Nigeria, including Nnamdi Azikiwe and so many others, through whose effort that their countries, Ghana and Nigeria, became independent. And I don't think when they were fighting for their independence that meant that they were occult, let's say, cult heroes. No, they were fighting for their right. They stood up for their right, and it was through their effort that their countries became independent. Nigeria Nigeria became independent since 1960 years, and so on. That means for the how many years? How many years now? 65 years, if I'm not mistaken. 65 years ago, that Nigeria became independent on account of those activists, the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, and then others too. I can't remember names now, but Herbert Macaulay, Herbert Macaulay, and so many others in Nigeria. And so they fought. They stood up for their right. Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana, he stood up for the right of his people, and they became independent. Just like the one from Congo Kinshasa, what do you call him? Patrice. I've forgotten the surname. Lumumba, I believe. Yeah, he also fought for the independence, and he was the first leader, although he was assassinated in the process. That is it. Let me come back to Nnamdi Kanu. That means Nnamdi Kanu is not a separatist leader. No, he's an activist, and he's fighting for a just cause. Some of us who are now acquainted with the events happening around Nigeria or in Nigeria, especially in the southern part of Nigeria, Anambra, Imo, southeastern part, Anambra, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, Enugu, These are the states from the southeastern part of Nigeria. And due to the marginalization and the other things, the killings of innocent people, the Nnamdi Kanu now stood up to say enough is enough. And that is it. So he's not a separatist leader, neither is he a cult hero. He's an activist. BBC must have to recognize this fact and make sure that they do objective reporting, and also that they have to make research. They have to make research. They don't just make reports anyhow, because millions of people are reading what you put together. And also that they reported that Nnamdi was that he jumped bail. That is also not true. It was the same BBC who made the report then how the Nigerian military invaded his home and then he escaped. So you don't say jump bail. You have to be objective. You have to be professional. So we have to emphasize on professionalism in the world of journalism. Yeah. You don't just make any report, because it's as BBC for me is a very respected entity. It is a respected entity world over, just like CNN. So please, my dear, whoever is the journalist who made that report, you have to make research. It's part of journalism. Yeah. So Nnamdi Kanu is an activist. He did not jump bail. Yes, he did not jump bail. He escaped from the hands of those military juntas who were hell-bent to kill him. And it was BBC that made this report about what took place then, 2017, far back as 2017. How come now that he's now making a report that he jumped bail? So please, that is my advice. Make research and find out the truth or facts, not opinions, not what you are being fed with. Objective reporting, objective journalism, that should be. And also, he wasn't rearrested, because this report that was rearrested in Kenya and detained for 2 days. He wasn't rearrested, except that you have not been following the things around him, or how things unfold themselves. As far as Nnamdi Kanu is concerned, he was kidnapped from Kenya. It's clear that that means you have the BBC is either the reporter did not acknowledge the court injunction from Kenya that Nnamdi Kanu should be brought back to Kenya, because he was illegally abducted. He was illegally abducted from Kenya. And that is it. And that means in Nigeria, he has been illegally detained since 2021. That should be the report. That is these are facts. That is a fact. Not that he was rearrested. I mean, it is laughable. That's the point I want to make. Nnamdi Kanu was illegally brought back to Nigeria. The Kenyan court has confirmed that, and the BBC also is aware of this. By making this report, I don't know who they want to please. Please be. Just as I said, BBC has been a very well-known public entity. It is a newspaper or even a news. It just not more than a newspaper. Yeah? It represents Britain, as far as I'm concerned, in matters of journalism. So please, if you don't want to make that report in an objective way, there is no point making it in the first place, because people will misunderstand you, just as I've misunderstood you people. Yeah? So it's not correct what you wrote. The correct thing you wrote is that he has a British citizen. That is correct. He has he has British nationality. That is correct. Yeah, and that has been detained since 2021. Okay, that is it. And with this protest going on, that shows the world that Nnamdi Kanu has been illegally detained since 2021 in DSS, or by the DSS. So I will now make this clarion call, and I want to appeal to the international community to do something urgent, because you don't legalize what is illegal. You don't legalize what is illegal. We know it is illegal what up to now has been done. Yes, it is illegal. Also, even the trial that is taking place, it is illegal, because he was illegally brought into the country. And the best thing is for him to return to where he was kidnapped, and then follow the due process. And also for the due process, if you think he's a terrorist or that he has been misleading people, or for the fact that he has been creating chaos or inciting people into violence, there's no problem. But you have to prove that with facts. That means you have to agree with the Kenyan government, and then the first process is for him to be tried over there in Kenya. And when he's found guilty of the accusations made against him, then he has to be deported to Nigeria, but not illegally brought. That he was being illegally brought back to Nigeria. That is illegal. And somebody who claimed that it was due to from the cooperation with the international community, or the so-called Interpol, then he was brought back to Nigeria. That is a blatant lie. That is a blatant lie. That is not true. So somebody lied to the international community, claimed what was never the case. We suppose that was a former Minister of Justice, Malami. So he must also be brought to book, because he lied to the international community. So I believe he should go back to Kenya, and then let Nigerian government with its Kenyan counterpart, let them agree on what to do with Nnamdi. Let them agree on what to do with Nnamdi in a legal way. In a legal way. If there is any action against him, then in Kenya, after that, then he could be brought to Nigeria. That is the due process. And let me just stop at this point. And once more, I appeal to the international community, Nnamdi Kanu should be brought back to Kenya. The whole world knows that he was illegally abducted back to Nigeria. Call it rendition or whatever. That is the fact. And BBC, please make that report. That's what I want to say for now. Until further notice, have a nice day. Take care.